Marketing Edge on TV is Nigeria's leading initiative in the business of brand management and the management of brand business. It is a 30-minute awesome package that comprises brand news, branding focus, and industry conversation all in a mix, encompassing thorough and in-depth analysis aimed at promoting the brand idea. My name is Bababumi Agbibi. Welcome to the program.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand idea.
We begin with brand news, where we bring you the latest developments around brands and in the field of marketing and advertising in Nigeria and around the world. The Lagos State Signage and Advertisement Agency has launched a new digital portal and mobile app, and in doing so, it has set the stage for a major shift in how outdoor advertising operates across Lagos. Speaking at the unveiling, Managing Director Prince Fatiu Akiolu explained that the tools will streamline operations. Meanwhile, they will also improve transparency and speed across the sector. In addition, the digital directory will allow users to search and verify advertising assets. Similarly, the Lassa One app will enable stakeholders to access services instantly from their phones. However, the agency has issued a firm deadline. By May 15, 2026, all practitioners must register their billboard assets. Otherwise, any unlisted structure will be deemed illegal. Mirinda has launched its new global Smile Please platform, and with this move, it is repositioning the brand around emotion rather than just refreshment. At the same time, parent company PepsiCo introduced a refreshed visual identity where bold colors and semicircle designs now form smiling shapes across packaging and campaigns. More importantly, the brand aims to connect with Gen Z consumers. In addition, it promises moments of joy in an increasingly stressful, always-on digital world. Meanwhile, the campaign leans into influencer participation through a small chain activation. However, its success will depend heavily on authenticity rather than scripted content. In contrast to its previous rebellion-themed messaging, Mirinda now shifts towards simplicity and happiness, and as a result, it seeks to reduce consumer decision fatigue across its wide flavor range. The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations has pledged to formalize a partnership with Ahmadu Bello University, and with that move, it aims to drive food security, peace advocacy, and youth empowerment. During a visit to the university recently, NIPR leaders met with Vice Chancellor Adamu Ahmed. Thereafter, both sides expressed readiness to sign a memorandum of understanding. Speaking at the meeting, Yomi Badejo-Okusanya stressed the need for collaboration. In addition, he linked the initiative to efforts to boost Nigeria's food production capacity. Meanwhile, the Vice Chancellor welcomed the move. Moreover, he highlighted ABU's strength in livestock research and agricultural resources.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand idea.
That was brand news. Next is branding focus after this break. Now, branding focus. In business-to-business marketing, logic may get the credit, but perception often makes the sale. Experts say buyers don't just evaluate specs, features, and cost. They also weigh how a brand feels in the market. When competing products look similar, the winning edge often comes from image, the impression of skill, innovation, or authority. From sleek websites to thought-leading reports, polished presentation builds trust before a product is even tested. Even in high-stakes deals, emotion hides under the surface. Decision makers often choose the safe name to avoid career risk, a choice driven by fear of getting it wrong. Social proof, like client testimonials and big-name partnerships, helps seal the deal. Analysts warn that focusing only on price or features can cost brands their competitive advantage. Perception is not about deception, but about showing value in a way that matches how people truly decide. The playbook: take control of your narrative, keep branding sharp, share wins, and collect third-party validation. Every touch point should make your brand look and feel like a leader. In B2B, It's not always the best product that wins, it is the best presented one. And in today's crowded market, perception may just be your most valuable asset.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
Next is Industry Conversation, where we discuss with industry thought leaders who have distinguished themselves and have made tremendous impacts in their chosen field. Today, my guest is the Chairman Organizing Committee of Nigerian Public Relations Week 2026, Yomi Badejo-Okusanya, YBO. Join us after this break.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
My guest today on Industry Conversation is the Chairman Organizing Committee of Nigerian Public Relations Week, NPRW 2026, Yomi Badejo-Okusanya.
Thank you. Nice.
Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Nice of you to have me here.
Let's talk about the Public Relations Week, the third in its series. It was held in Kaduna, the first time it's happening in the north. Is there a strategic reason for it?
Kaduna is part of Nigeria. Last time I did check, we had two editions in, like you mentioned, we had the first one in Abeokuta, Ogun State, second one in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, and we thought that it was time to go across the Niger. First time in the north, but certainly not the last time. So the whole idea is that we must experience all parts of Nigeria, and states through their chapters bid to host the Nigeria Public Relations Week, and so Kaduna State bidded and they won the bid, so that's why we went there.
Interesting. Let's talk about the theme, food security, from policy paper to public plate, the imperatives of public relations. Now, we're talking about food security, which is not the normal theme you would find in a public relations conference. Is there any reason why this was the central conversation?
Well, in our first edition, we spoke about the economy generally, and we had as our keynote speaker the governor of the central bank, Mr. Yomi Badejo, although he was represented. And the second one, we spoke about solid minerals. We focused on solid minerals, and this one, we then decided to focus on food security. You will agree with me that without food security, there's actually no security. The most basic form of security, if you ask me, is our ability to feed ourselves. Hunger, as they say, a hungry man is an angry man. So a hungry nation equates to a very angry nation. So we thought that we had security challenges in Nigeria, and how can we, get involved? How can we intervene? And we felt that let's start from food security, because if we're able to feed ourselves, I believe a greater part of our problems have been solved. When you look at inflation in itself, I'm not an economist, but from what I see, food inflation accounts for about half, minimum half, if not 60% of general, inflation. So we also looked at, when we talk about the theme itself in detail, we can explain to you that we found out that there's a gap between policy paper and then the implementation, which is why we said policy paper to food security, policy paper to public plates, the imperatives of public relations. We realize that there's a gap between when the policy with the policy formulation and policy implementation, which affects the results. And we also, looking further, realize that communication plays a most significant role in transiting from policy paper to public plate. There's a huge role for public communication in that. And that's where we situated ourselves. That's what gave rise to the theme, which was exhaustively discussed, deliberated upon in Kaduna.
Now, talking policies and proper communication, let's take a cue from the keynote speaker at the conference, Dr. Brian Chinsungo, who said that many policies fail to reach farmers due to poor communication. Now, do you agree that PR has been absent from Nigeria's food security conversation?
Completely. Until this intervention, there's been some attempt, but that attempt has not been holistic. We, for instance, we had a better understanding. Let me give you an example. When the president decided that he was creating a livestock ministry, many people thought that, what's the difference between agriculture and livestock? Just food for the boys, or job for the boys, I beg your pardon. But we not only spoke, we not only conferenced, we took a step further by visiting, like for instance, a livestock farm owned by the current Minister of Livestock. And your chief correspondent was with us. And it was a huge eye-opener in terms of animal rearing, poultry, what we had taken, or what Nigerians. Let me give you a little thing that he said to us. He said, people say they retire into agriculture or they retire into livestock. And he believes that we've gotten it wrong, starting from that. The strongest of our minds, the strongest of our assets, the strongest of our men and women should take on agriculture from and livestock from for food security from a very young age. Not when you are tired, not when you've worked for the government for 35 years and you are 60 something. How much more energy do you have? So there's an advocacy there. He showed us for instance, a little kid, a goat, small kid. He was telling us that they can go for as high as 1 million, just those small goats. While we're there, beg your pardon, 2 eggs were hatched by this incredible looking chicken. I mean, I've never seen a chicken that big in my life. And they're breeders. And he said to us that each of those eggs can sell or will sell for 10,000 naira. Why? Because exotic species, and they're breeders. So what am I saying? There's a lot of advocacy that needs to go in that area, which is not being done right now. We need a lot more people dealing with it. So we have some of our brightest minds in communication, in public relations. They're in oil and gas. They're in tech. They're in banking. They're in finance. They're in manufacturing. They're in the service industry. But how many of them are in communication? That's a question. So really, there's a gap, which unfortunately for us has not been filled so far. And NIPR, through the NPRW Croc City 2026, we have decided to take the bull by the horn.
Interesting. Now let's look at what Vice President Kashim Shettima said. He said governance cannot afford to be distant and policies cannot afford to be opaque. Now, is Nigeria putting that into practice?
I'm not sure I'm in the best position to answer that. I mean, he raised the poser, so it may be best to. But let me give it from my perspective. We have a huge trust deficit. There's a huge trust gap, which makes many things that people could do many things that government does not appreciated or underappreciated or undervalued, and that has significant impact on the overall economy. So I will agree with him that yes, so in terms of policy, how transparent are those policies? How imbibed are those policies? So let me give you a typical example. I was a young man in the 70s, but I knew what the foreign policy of Nigeria was. Africa was the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. I knew it. I was in junior secondary school. I was a young man. I was in my early teens. How did I know that? So you tell me today, what's Nigeria's foreign policy? And I'm not taking a dig at any government. I'm not taking a dig at any administration. Tell me today, what is, even let's talk about this agric or food security. What is our policy? Is it well communicated? The answer is no. So if I grew up knowing that, so there's a lot of xenophobia going on in South Africa right now, and it saddens me because you know what that did to us when we knew that Africa was the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. We had students from South Africa who were in our schools. We accommodated them. We gave them scholarship. They got bursary, and so on and so forth. We, as the students, we were trained, or that was the word trained. We were, it was designed in such a way that we accommodated them. We appreciated them. We knew even from our own pocket money, we could help a South African because we realized that he is here not of his own choice, but because of what was going on back in his own home. So while we may not have been mouthing off the totality of the policy, in the way he affected us, we did it. So one of the things that I remember, Operation Feed the Nation, that's Obasanjo during his first term. We were all encouraged to grow something in our backyard. How many of us are growing anything here? This gentleman, the Minister of Livestock, told us the dangers of buying cabbage, lettuce, and so on and so forth, because they want to so that they can grow quickly. They are not organic. Chemicals, urea, I think that's what he mentioned. That's a company mentioned. Urea is added to them. And because they want to harvest them early, the urea is still in them when they are plucked and sold to us. And then we say to ourselves, we use them to prepare salad, and we think we are eating healthy. Do you see where the challenge is? So in terms of advocating for food sufficiency, in terms of advocating for greater investment in agriculture and livestock, that's zero. That's not happening. That's not happening. And we need a lot of education in that regard. If you see on this gentleman's farm in Kaduna, we can't even call them cows. We must call them bulls. Some of the biggest I've seen in my life. I don't know if they still have them in a place called Vom. Vom is in Jos, near Jos in Plateau State. And there was a farm, a dairy farm, operated by, I think it was Friesland Wamco. And they used to have these big bulls. That's the only place I've seen them in Nigeria. And let me end up with this. When people, the nomads, and we know herder farmers clash. It's impossible for you to get the best value of meat or milk from a cow that has walked all the way from Kano to Lagos. And even if they are not if they are not trekking, and you put them in a truck, and I'm sure you've seen that before,
yes,
standing all the way from Kano or wherever they're bringing them from to Lagos, that animal is stressed. That animal cannot produce the best. If you are asked to walk from Kano to Lagos, will you be at your best? Is what do you call it? Physiology, animal physiology. Nobody, it's a no-brainer. Nobody needs to tell us. So even in terms of ranching, there's supposed to be some advocacy, or that will reduce the farmer herders clash. Will get more produce out of the animals, and so on and so forth. How much advocacy is being done?
Nigeria will be hosting the World PR Forum in November this year. What does this mean for Nigeria?
Well, it's a good opportunity. This is the second time it's been hosted in Africa. The first one was in South Africa, and now it's in Nigeria. What it does is that it puts Nigeria on the world stage in terms of public relations. The Global Alliance has membership in 126 countries around the world, and we're expecting delegates from all those 126 countries, or most of them. Now, a lot of people have heard about Nigeria, and a lot of news coming out of Nigeria is not pleasant. Just like when we went to Kaduna, I'm sure many of you who didn't go or who didn't come with us would, thought that Kaduna, very volatile, all the things we hear about her. Luckily, again, your chief correspondent was with us. We're out till midnight. We're out till well beyond the midnight. We're driving on the road. Nothing happened. Now, I'm not saying that there are no challenges in Kaduna, but we saw that it's not as volatile. With due respect to those who have suffered issues of kidnapping and banditry and killings and all that. I'm not saying, by no means am I saying that they are non-existent, but the larger part of Kaduna is peaceful. You can go about your stuff. We drove around and, we saw that. So it's the same with Nigeria. Many people have, Nigeria has been in the news for a lot of times for the wrong reasons. So this now gives us an opportunity to tell the world who we really are, acknowledging our challenges, but telling them that that's just one part of the story. The full story is that Nigeria is more than the challenges that we face. We acknowledge them. We believe that the government is working hard to overcome those challenges. There's a lot more that needs to be done, but Nigeria largely has a story to tell. And you know better than me that it's all about storytelling.
What plans do you think should be put in place to host this event for Nigeria? What plans should be put in place?
There are plans, not do I think, there are plans already in place. I'm not on that, I'm on an advisory group, so I'm not in the mainstream of the committee. But from what I've seen and from what they've shared with us, what we want is for visitors to have an experience. And that experience must start from when you arrive in Nigeria and all the things you will do, whether they be at the conference, whether they be outside the conference, whether there will be entertainment, whether there will be cultural intervention, whether it's networking, just name it. We want our visitors to have, or delegates, we want them to have an experience. Now, let me also share this with you. It's not just, it's actually 3 in 1. So there's the Global Alliance, which is the WPRF. Then there's the African Public Relations Association, of which I am the immediate past president. Normally we have our conference every year. in an African nation. So this year, we are fused with this bigger event. So while you are going to experience Nigeria, you will also experience Africa, because we are going to have an Africa Day. There are many people who would not have visited Africa but for WPRF. So don't just experience Nigeria, experience Africa. You know, there are many aspects of NPRW Croc City 2026 that you haven't mentioned. Well, you did talk about the fact that we had the vice president in attendance. I can't remember the last time that public relations had the vice president of the Federal Republic in attendance. So we've moved. This was NIPR when we, I don't want to use the word, but when we are not at our peak, who did we attract to our events? In the past, we even used to struggle to get commissioners to come in. The commissioners will send us directors. I'm happy to say that at every single edition of the Nigerian Public Relations Week, we have hosted the chief executive of the state. They've partnered with us, be it in Ogun State, Prince Dakwa Abiodun, His Excellency, or in Akwa Ibom State, where we had Pastor Eno, His Excellency, and now we had His Excellency Ubasani, the governor of Kaduna State. And not only that, we had the vice president, we had several ministers in attendance, we had heads of agencies, ministries, departments, and agencies. So, what is public relations? A larger part of public relations is about influence. And if we had those people in the room and they were, I don't want to use the word sold, it was shared with them the values that public relations brings to the table. We've evangelized them. We've said to them, maybe people who didn't pay attention to public relations before now do.
Thank you very much. I've been speaking with the Chairman, Organizing Committee of Nigerian Public Relations Week 2026, Yomi Badejo-Okusanya. The conversation continues on our website at www.marketingedge.com.ng and all our social media handles at Marketing Edge. My name is Bababumi Agbibi.